Welcome everyone to episode 9 of Rivals and Rants. We just had a pretty insane group stage and also playoffs of OCE, and of course we have to bring some experts to break things down. We got Liger here from the commentary booth of OCE. We have Imperator here from the assistant coach position of Schmungus, and we have Hogs all the way from Japan, now back in North America, talking about some of the action going down in America. So let's go down the line. I'll kind of ask you guys each a question as we get into the action, but thank you everyone who's been tuning in for this. And Imperator, I'm going to start with you. Fire Suit, you're well prepared for this.
Thank you very much. You know, I went to the store. I, of course, asked the beautiful lady over there, can you fix me a suit? Of course, she fixed me a suit. Not only that, if you look at this perfectly Birmingham quality over here, actually, pocket watch, full silver, real, authentic 1895 pocket watch from Birmingham.
That's awesome.
But, I'm well dressed, but I think Hogs looks cute. I think Vodible, you look cute, and Liger, oh, your beard, I love it.
Go already.
Thank you. I mean, consummate professionals all around the board here as well. So nice to show that you've come out prepared, ready for the action that we're going to be going through today. Liger, talking about some action that we've had. I mean, OCE, they've wrapped up their playoffs. How's it feel to have gone through the motions of the first stage before mid-season of everything so far?
Ooh, OCE's cooking off a storm, I tell you that. For those who don't know, my name's Liger. I'm one of the casters in the OCE region for MRI. I tell you what, Vodible, it has been insane. All the teams fighting their heart out. The group stage flew by so fast. We jumped into playoffs, and it happened all over the weekend. We know who's going forward. We know the results, but I won't get into it now. We'll talk about it later, but it was insane. OCE put on a show.
It's pretty awesome. Well, Hogs, you were kind of in the backseat, just kind of spectating from afar. You were on a untimed vacation, but now you're back and got to see how the action went. I mean, what are your thoughts after watching the results previously and now kind of seeing where things have developed all the way to the playoffs?
I think a lot of it was to be expected. I think there's some big upsets like FlyQuest, rolling through Group A after losing to Ego Death. I think Group B, like the reverse sweep from Nemesis. I think those are the two big things to take away. And I'm excited to see like what happens, because I think there are like 5 teams in NA that could qualify for LAN.
I mean, a lot of potential for these teams, a lot of spots up on the line. They still haven't officially announced where the LAN is, even though we talked about it during the last episode, and how many spots there are for the teams. The only one that they've truly announced is OCE, and that there's the one spot going to the team who won it at the end of it, but we'll go over that a little bit later on. To start things off, though, on the broadcast here, we're going to be talking about the Group A EMEA results there specifically, kind of swapping back and forth between EMEA and the Americas. Then we'll go through OCE, and then into what the look is for the playoffs specifically for each of those regions. So talking about the group stage here for EMEA, and it's in the live chat, guys, if you need to take a look at it, the first link in there as well. So Imperator, we have you here from Schmungus. Schmungus played their first series on Thursday. It went decently well, and then it didn't go well. What was kind of like the mindset going on for the team after they unfortunately fell to low 9 in a 2-1 finish?
Yeah, the low 9 loss was a bit devastating, but I think the players recovered really well. We were going in this tournament with like, we're the underdogs. We haven't scrimmed together that much. We started scrimming recently, and I think our team has done an amazing performance in those scrims. Of course, a lot of mistakes were made by both teams. Like, we could have improved on some stuff, but it's not a race, it's a marathon for us.
That's
but we haven't had a proper coach, but we're getting one now. We're gonna look to scrim more, we're gonna look back at the scrims more, and we're gonna have more team talks. And I think in stage 2, we're gonna be a really dangerous team.
Okay. So does that mean the team's sticking together? No roster changes?
The team is sticking together. I cannot say anything about roster changes, but the team is sticking together.
Can't say anything about roster changes. You know that's fair, because there are a lot of potential changes that can happen between now, mid-season, and whenever the Stage 2 qualifiers are. They said sometime in August, so we'll see whenever that happens. But nice to hear that the team isn't too disheartened and they're still motivated to compete in the future for that as well.
Yeah, I'm still really happy about the results.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, making it all the way there to almost qualifying for the second stage is also just nuts in itself after just, signing up. A lot of people saying for content, but I'm sure they took it as seriously as they wanted to for that as well. Looking at the other teams that are in this pool, a lot of teams it felt like had questions about how well All Business would do. I mean, do you think personally that they kind of performed where we expected them to after being invited from their qualifications previously?
I think All Business did a really good job in Ignite, especially considering they don't have a coach yet. Actually, it's actually quite amazing that they don't have a coach yet. So like, there's not really someone like. Of course, if you look back in a replay. Of course, yeah, it's like OCE. Of course, if you look back at a game, you can see the mistakes you made. Oh, we should have played this better. We should have played that better. But a coach really helps you. It draws it out for you. What do you do here? How do you distribute your lanes? When do you engage? Like, what positions do you play so you can help your team and the healers to heal yourself? But I think AB did a really good job. I think if they get a coach, they're gonna go even further. And I think they defied the expectations everyone had for them. Because if you look at Twitter and if you look at the other
every power ranking, the ones we did, we'll look at a little bit later. I can even check right now what we had them. Yeah, we had them at 9 through 12, so we expected them to go out a little bit sooner. We thought 0% would do better than they did, to be fair. But,
yeah, everyone like kind of put like AB at the lowest tier. Like, this team is not gonna do well.
Yeah,
it's gonna go out in this team. I think they defied the expectation. I think they did a really good job.
Yeah, I mean, shout outs to them too. And Hogs, talking about that kind of like coaching perspective of things as well. I know like NA, it's a little bit different than EU. There's a lot more organizations. There's more coaches that are available for that. Do you think that is just such a big buff for those teams that do have the coaching staff available to like see what the picks and bans should be and prepare your team as best they can for these series?
I think it helps a lot, but I don't think it's like needed.
Okay.
I think teams with like really smart players can do good without coaches. But I do think coaches have a good third-person POV, and I think the teams with smart players need a non-player coach. So, like, our Zero, we have Nat Dokic, who's a really good Overwatch coach, experienced, and he's been helping a lot. And I think coaches are extremely helpful. I think they make a big impact.
Yeah, and talking about that too, Liger, you said OC doesn't really have, like, many or any coaches going on. What's happening down there?
Look, it's a lot of homies gathering together, making their teams, especially in the top 8 for the group stage. But the teams that did make it to the end of the line, the orgs, basically, they had coaches, they had managers, they did sort themselves out. And I'm sure other teams as well, I know a couple, maybe Bethany, one player is playing that role, that coaching role, whilst also playing, and the sub rosters are there, so they can always guide them as well. So that's basically what was going on in OCE.
Okay. It's nice to get a little insight to how that is in each region in terms of like coaching and things of that sort. Looking on the other side of things here too, L9, I mean, they had a decent run, but looking at the biggest standout for this Group A was Zero Tenacity. They came out on top. They prevented the reverse sweep against Berber Patapim. I think even them, they were feeling confident, but most people would say Berber Patapim were like one of those top teams in the region for EMEA. Imperator, I mean, do you think this was a surprise for many people, seeing them come out on top at the end?
For the teams, I'm gonna say this, for the teams, it was a surprise. It was one of the biggest surprise for the teams in Ignite. Because if you look back at Season 0, Season 1, if you were following,
Yep.
Z10 back then Ecstasy, right? They didn't really do well in MRI. I think they lost to Dusty or Twisted Minds. I don't remember properly, but they
I
were
think
like
they went like out in the Swiss stage or something like that. Like it used to go by Ecstatic back then. Yeah.
Yeah, Ecstatic. Yeah. MRC, not really the best performance, but man, oh man, did they come back for Ignite. No one ever expected them to get this far against Patapim, especially. I think they were considered underdogs, not as much as AB. Like AB was considered like they're gonna go out instantly, but like Z10 they're like, yeah, they're good, but they're not good enough to go to the finals or like win it, you know. But the match against Patapim, wow, it was just a masterclass. Even though one of their players, Lugia Goat, disconnected, it was such a sad thing to see. They were winning so hard. They were about to win, like ult economy, they were about to win, but then Lugia just runs into a wall and they lose 2 maps. I think they lost the map after the DC because they were a bit tilted, you know, because they were a bit tilted. You DC'd and then you lose the next map. But I think they came back really properly, and I think they're a really good team to look at. I think they're one of the best teams right now in MRI, and I think for playoffs, I think they're gonna beat teams like Patapim, Rat, and maybe even VP.
Okay. We'll have to see what happens for that. I mean, another question back to you on this one. I'll kind of throw this one around as well. Do you think like the depth of hero selection that Zero Tenacity has compared to some of the other rosters might be benefiting them a little bit more, especially when it comes to the pick ban stage and having more contingencies?
Yeah, a lot of teams in MRI, if you look, they're linear. So you have someone who's playing Torch Psylocke, and you have someone who's playing more of the like Punisher, Hela. The Z10, you have Newton, he can go Adam. You have Smashness, he can go Adam Warlock. You have a Iron Man comp, Torch, fantastic, Wolverine. Their tank Lugia Code can even play an amazing Wolverine. I think if you saw the match against Blood Cariodo, magnificent Wolverine performance. But I think teams that can have a variable hero pool, they have a much better chance in Ignite because there's so much more surprises you can do in a best of 5. You can pull out a new comp every time, every game, and they just won't expect like what to do against it versus a linear team, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, did we see anything with like teams doing something similar in OCE Lager for like at least changing up the status quo when it came to the meta for picks and bans there?
Very simply, we didn't see Iron Man. We cheated once. We saw Iron Man, and he was switched off in like less than a minute. I do agree. You're right, though. We were seeing, of course, certain duelists go to the Psylocke Torch route, and others going to the Hela Punisher route, and then that would be the focal bans. Most people were a bit of like, I wouldn't say one tricks, but they had their signature picks. And once you saw, for example, Bethany came out with the Psylocke on Potato, that cooked and woke everyone up. That kind of forced other teams to stop just locking in the meta, and everyone started bringing out signature picks again. We saw those Groots that came from the Invitational. They came out again. We saw so many different picks just focus on actual just player skill again. So if someone was going to bring out the Ultron, Hela was going to be there to match it and just shut it down completely. So then we see the Hela ban. So most of the time, the rotation just kept going like that, where people play meta, people play the counter signature pick, they ban this, then they ban that, then they ban back and forth, and whoever just gets the numbers game right first, they win, pretty much.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, Hogs, we kind of saw something similar, but with one specific hero being Black Panther, just had a resurgence out of nowhere. People were calling them trash and ranked all the time, and then, well, we're seeing that at the top level, trashing some other teams. I mean, do you think that just really caught people off guard and people weren't prepared for that kind of dive comp from them?
Yeah, I mean, nobody would have scrimmed BP before that ever. Like, that character's been considered horrible since like a long before time. And like, I think Self like made people realize that character is actually just busted, and there's like nothing you can do about it. Like, you can't really kill it. You can like play thing on your backline. It's not gonna help. But yeah, I think Self definitely made a difference. And I think that's not like, and then like Rymazing, obviously, like Sneaky Golem at the bridge, playing over Genesis. Yeah, like, I think that character is like sleeper OP, and I think we'll see more of it as time goes on. And then another one is
excited.
Like, is Envy with like the Jeff NATO, the solo tank Jeff NATO.
Oh man,
the solo like, Yu's been doing that a little bit as well, but I think that's also like, I like the experimentation in NA.
Yeah, we'll also talk about it a little bit later too, but I feel like there's also been a lot more focus as well when it comes to damage boost compositions, is like using Mantis, using Storm for those damage boost abilities. I mean, even using Luna Snow and focusing on that with the Punisher, things of that sort. Like, it's kind of cool once we actually got to Ignite, after teams weren't just hiding strats, they showed everything out there. And then I'm sure there's something saved for playoffs, of course, but seeing a bit of a different story and strategy than we used to just see with like the single tournament weekend stuff from before is awesome. Swapping on over to America's Group A here, if we can. Thank you, Jesse. So looking at how things went here for this specific bracket, as we just talked about, Ego Def was kind of a team that came out of nowhere for a lot of people, especially with that Black Panther play that we were talking about, with how they were performing. They took out FlyQuest. If you want to scroll down, Jesse, just to the group stage bracket. Thank you. And seeing how well they did. And then FlyQuest just like having a resurrection like the res comp they used to play all the time, just destroying everyone, even 3-0ing 100 Thieves. I mean, Hogs, what happened here to the rest of the competition in Group A?
I think after like FlyQuest lost Ego Death, I think they like really leveled up. I think they kind of like, you know, they had something to prove now. You know, like the shit talk like that will get to you and it'll make you like react. You know, you're gonna play better, you're gonna play worse. And FlyQuest played a lot better after. Like they ended up just dropping 2 maps. They went down 0-3, and then they proceeded to drop 1 more map after.
Yeah, which is just nuts to think about for that. I mean, I don't think we've seen a run like this in a bracket so far in Marvel Rivals. So shout out to the FlyQuest team over there. I know specific, I think it was Fox and Yoki that are helping on the coaching staff for that too, to just do like target bans, and like Ego Def were so frustrated. Same for Jobless Bums about that when it came to those kind of targetings. But Liger, I mean, was there any specific teams in like the OCE region that kind of had their own runs that were surprising, where they had like an upset and they just came out of nowhere?
Oh, 100%. They'd have to go to the Vicious. The Vicious took down a team that came first in the OCE Invitational early in the year.
Wow.
So they took down the top dogs, and everyone started to wake up a bit. Not to mention, Ground Zero Gaming came out of nowhere, knowing, well, actually, I know those players wanted to be in the Invitational so bad, but they didn't get a slot. Now that they came in through the qualifiers, climbing through the group stage, they wanted to prove something as well. So definitely there were those 2 teams who kind of woke up the region, because for a long time, Kanga Esports on top. Everyone thought Kanga was the peak of the region, but this Ignite proved it differently. It's beautiful to see competition here.
I love it, because like we saw Zero Tenacity kind of do well in their group, in Group Stage A, taking down Berber Patapim, where a lot of people thought that'd be the best team. And then FlyQuest here. I mean, going back to you, Hogs, on this one, a lot of people before Ignite, I might be wrong about this, were saying Envy was like a top team, maybe the top team in North America. Yes. What kind of happened here? Maybe complacency on their side, or they just weren't as prepared as they could have been?
I definitely think there's a lot of complacency. I think once you're at the top, it takes the right like mindset to stay there. I think that was something that happened with like Nightmare, or like the Sen before it became Sentinels. Is we were at the top and a lot of us became complacent, and then like Mutants and now Haunted Thieves caught up and passed us, and then we like slowly started falling down. But I think that's happening to Envy right now, and I think they will get out of this rut because they have some of the best individual players on each role. They have Toulouse, Speedily, Month. Like those 3 are probably the 3 of the best players on their role, if not the best.
Yeah, so hopefully we see some of these teams again, because this was kind of a seeding stage for those teams who already qualified for Ignite Stage 2 and for the playoffs. Some teams maybe weren't taking it as seriously as they needed to, but again, seeding does help because there's only so many slots that make it into the main event itself. So moving back over to EMEA for Group B here. RIP Yoankanda and Alcacia, they got swept in their series. I mean, I don't think we're too surprised by that. I kind of expected a little bit more of a fight from Alcacia. What about you, Imperator?
I actually expect more of a fight from Yoankanda, you know? Yoankanda used in MRI back in the first Invitationals.
They had team, that's right.
Exo, they had a really good performance, so I didn't expect them to go out like this. But Alcacia, yeah. Yeah, Rod EU, a really good team. 2-0. I thought it was going to be like 2-1 maybe, 1-2. But it's fine. But Fierce Strays expected. And then against Peps, I don't think anyone expected Peps to sweep them 2-0. I think people had more expectations of them. Rightfully so. And I think it was just preparation. And they didn't show up as people thought.
Team Peps did pretty good for themselves too. I mean, getting that 2-0, unfortunately didn't get anything against Virtus Pro, but the one team who did get a map after Rad got the victory against Virtus Pro, Insomnia. I mean, what do you feel about Insomnia? I feel like they kind of came through that MRC bracket, qualified for things, or not MRC, excuse me, the qualifier, not even MRC, and then like really showed up against Team Peps, and then got that map against Virtus Pro. Many teams haven't even gotten a single map against this squad in official tournaments.
I mean, yeah, Insomnia and Peps are similar to the style where they don't give up. Even if they're a map down, 2 maps down, doesn't matter. They're going to try and take at least 1 map. And Insomnia is a team that's people didn't expect to go far, especially since a couple of, like a week, maybe a week before MRI, the captain of Insomnia, the person who made the team, actually left the team.
Oh, wow.
And, so people didn't think it would go far. They thought there was like some drama going on, but they really showed toughness and resilience, especially against the game against Peps. Wow, the overtime against Peps, Insomnia.
Oh,
Peps
that was nuts. Yeah,
one of the most beautiful things I've seen in esports.
Oh man. Well, my question to everyone here, now that we've seen Virtus Pro come back, they won their group, they 3-0'd Rad after they lost to them earlier on. Do we think Virtus Pro are still the best team in EMEA? I'm going to go to you, Imperator, last. Liger, how do you feel after seeing this result? They lost a series finally, but they got a 3-0 and kind of destroyed through the lower bracket for the most part.
I think that puts them in a better position because trying to maintain that winning record, it's too much pressure. You don't want that. You need to be like, okay, we've lost. We know what it's like. We don't want to experience that again. Tell you that. That's because from looking from afar, what we were seeing, I think, was it the official broadcast did like a red X on their winning record or something like that?
Yep. Yeah, they did.
like if you're getting slighted by the official broadcast, at that point, like you're beloved. You're 100% beloved. Your front runners, your top seed, everything. I think now that they've had that, they can focus on like what they've made a mistake that led to breaking their win streak, and now they can go forward and try to maintain after that. What more do you want?
I'll put a poll up in chat for the viewers to let us know if they think VP is still the best team in EMEA. What about you, Hogs? I mean, we've seen VP kind of scrim a lot of teams in Americas and play against them just to not leak strats to the rest of the competition that's out there. And I know a lot of people were kind of shocked about their loss from Rad EU, but seeing that they went back, they're in the top form. How are you feeling from like the other side of things here?
I'm really good, like close friends with a lot of the Virtus Pro players because I've been scrimming them since like the beta, and then in the alpha we would like mess around in ranked and shit. And I think those players, like they love winning, and I think like whenever they start to lose, like a fire gets lit under their ass. And I think that loss like made them wake up and realize that there isn't as big as a gap as they thought there was. I think the gap is still not that big, and I think if they have a bad day, they can lose to even Zero Tenacity, like Berber, even Insomnia, I think, and especially Rad. I think if Rad's having a good day and VP's having a good one or a bad one, I think Rad can win again.
Makes a lot of sense there. Imperator, how do you feel about this? Chat says at least 83% agree that VP is still the best team in EMEA.
I mean, I agree. I think VP is going to stay the best team in EMEA for a while. Like, the loss they had against Rad, I think VP after a loss is more scary than my mom with a slipper. Because you beat a team that's undefeatable. And now they see, finally there's a competitor who can match us. So now they're going to go back and they're going to practice even harder, scream even harder, look into votes even harder. And they're going to come back with bloodthirstiness. And I feel so bad for Yoin Kanda, who had to face VP in losers brackets.
After I saw that, I was like, they're gone. There's no chance.
It's like a small dog, and then you have like a bloodthirsty lion. Like, he will just rip you apart. Like, I felt so bad for Yoin Kanda, and then Peps had to go against him, and then Insomnia as well, and then against Rad again. I think Rad played it really nice though against VP, especially because they used some Korean strategies. I talked to one of the players from Rad. They said the comp they had against VP that they won against with one game, it was actually really well designed comp. It was res comp, but instead of Starlord, you have Torch, and the Mantis pockets the Torch, and the damage output was so insane.
Ooh, yeah.
And that comp actually, everyone thought like Rod made this comp a bit, from EMEA at least, but Genji was the one that came up with this comp actually. And it was really interesting to see that Korea is actually inventing strats in League of Legends, in every esports, they just come up with the craziest stuff. And we just adopted it, and it even beats VP. But I think VP is always going to be one of the best teams, but the only downside I have is that they have to adapt. So if they lose early on, it's because it's either a new meta or something they haven't seen a lot yet, but they'll adapt and then they'll become unbeatable. If you give VP the time to adapt, I don't think there's a single team that can beat them after a loss.
It's going to be interesting if they make it to mid-season.
The Batman of EMEA, is that it?
Yeah, the Batman of EMEA.
Yeah.
They have prep time, they're good to go.
Exactly. Well, nice to see that Verge Pro are kind of back into the swing of things. I don't think anyone really doubted that they would bounce back after the loss to Rad. It just really proved how well Rad performed in that specific series. So congrats to Rad, of course, for doing well, making it still into the top 2. They still 2-0'd Insomnia, who Insomnia even took a map against Verge Pro there. But looking at Group B to wrap up the group stages here for at least the Americas and EMEA side of things. Americas, for them, I want to ask you, Hogs, about this. Techie XD, this team seems to be like an enigma to me. They take out Citadel Gaming. I mean, what is it that makes this team click and be such a difficult counter for a lot of squads out there?
I think they are individually like all very good players, and I think their main issue as a team and why they can't beat ShroudX, why they can't beat like the teams above that like tier, is their team play is not the best, and they kind of just thrive off individual playmaking and like hero plays. And I think that's why they were able to beat Citadel and beat like my team while I wasn't there. Is because like these two teams like weren't ready for like the heroism from Techie, and like weren't ready for like the crazy plays that like Tap would make, because Tap is probably one of the best Psylocks in NA.
Oh yeah, he's insane. The way that Tap was playing on Psylocke was nuts. It just sucks because like ShroudX seems to be their hard counter here after seeing the 2-2-0s against them. And ShroudX, I know a lot of people were kind of questioning how well that team would do. Congrats to them again for making it into Ignite Stage 2 based on playing in the playoffs here. But I mean, for ShroudX, it feels like so many people were just doubting them because they have such a low floor. But do you think that they kind of performed to where we expected them to throughout this bracket, or should they have performed a little bit better?
Yeah, they definitely underperformed. I think a 3-map being that close with Nightmare, with them off-rolling, is a little bit like, there's no lack for like a nicer word, unacceptable.
Yeah.
I think, you know, like the Nightmare team isn't like bad. They have like decent individual players, but Hydron's on tank. He's not playing his main role. And that was a one-fight map. If one mistake didn't happen from Nightmare's side, we would be talking about Nightmare having an upset and not is ShroudX underperforming. I think ShroudX has some of the best like individual players again as some of these other teams. I think Vision is one of the best DPS players in NA, and I don't think he gets enough credit for it. But yeah, I think that was one of the most like that was one of the biggest upsets that wasn't actually an upset.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, kind of seeing how the rest of these teams have performed so far in this specific group. I mean, talking about upsets, we can say Nemesis beating Sentinels in reverse sweep is an upset here. I mean, Liger, when you might have seen some of these results later on. I mean, even Imperator, I don't think seeing like those top teams that are out there, people were saying Nemesis is going to be that team who tops their group. I mean, what are you guys feeling on that one? Start with Liger.
Well, from what I can see, yeah, it looks like there's been an upset. Was this the team that ran the BP Venom, if I recall?
No, I think that was Ego Death, if I'm not mistaken. That was the BP Venom. Yeah, Team Nemesis, they're the old Shikigami roster that moved over to Nemesis, if I'm not mistaken on that one.
Shiki Slingshot.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I was expecting, because they have the extra round right there. So when they lost to Sentinels, right, that gave them information for them to come back and win at the best of 5. That must have been intense for them. But that might be the case, very common in other regions as well, where when you have time to verse, you gain information. It depends which team's actually gaining more information from the matchup. Because there's been scrims before, like you said, Imperator, before when a team has prep, was it a VP in the other region? Like, they're going to be able to cook. So, yeah, if it looks like that's the case with Nemesis, I don't know too much about it. I've got to do my deep dive on that.
Yeah, I just wanted to see what your opinions were on that from the outside perspective.
I see that very often in Rivals. I'm definitely noticing that, like, when there's a frontrunner team who people can't beat, once that team versus them, they understand now. And when they get that rematch, they actually do beat them, because the other team never tried to understand their team. They just ran what they ran and just won. So you got to collect information at the same time as winning. Like, sometimes there are teams actually taking a round loss just to see what the enemy team will do and figure it out how they can counter it in the next matchup.
True.
Gathering.
Yeah, and I actually heard of Nemesis before MRI, because I think it was a post about Z10, about how there's some things going on wrong at Z10 with the esports team, and that they were, I got a quote here actually. The Z10 CEO actually said, "I envy Nemesis GG as they entered the field not long ago, 5 months, and they've already qualified for Esports World Cup, HCS, TI, and many more." And I think they're doing a really good job in Marvel Rivals as well, especially reverse sweeping Sentinels. As someone from Europe, I didn't really think Sentinels or 100 Thieves would lose, or like FlyQuest. But when I saw Team Nemesis beating Sentinels in a reverse sweep, it was just beautiful. I think it brings a lot of competition to the esports scene.
Definitely does. And Hogs, as our resident expert here for Americas, I mean, I don't think any of us like expected Sentinels to get reverse swept in the way that they did. And even the 2 games that they won were kind of close for the most part. So, I mean, you talked about like your time on Sentinels and how Sentinels and other teams have gotten a little bit complacent. Is this another story of that?
I don't think so at all. I know there's stuff I know that I won't say because those are my friends still. Like I still love those guys from when I was on that team. I don't think it was a team play. It wasn't a team play issue or how the game is played. I think Sentinels is still the better team. I think on that day Nemesis kind of started gaining momentum, and I think Sentinels wasn't able to stop it. I think Nemesis is also like potentially a top 4, like top 3, top 4 team in the region if they continue to play like that. Like Ryan Guy is probably the best band coach in this game.
True.
And I think he will continue to do that, and he might be able to bully some of these other teams out, like FlyQuest and Envy even.
I'm excited for playoffs. It's going to be great to see exactly what happens with all that. But speaking of playoffs, we do have OCE here. And Liger, I know you wanted to say something, so we'll talk about OCE in a second. But what was your thought, Liger, before we go to OCE?
Okay, well, very small bracket compared to the lot of you. But still so intense, an intense 3 days of gaming that we had over the weekend, leading on the Friday, of course. As you can clearly see, there's so much is going on, but is it?
Jesse, if you want to go back to OC.
Do I pull up OC? Sorry, just double
there
check.
we go.
Okay, so you can see it at the top there. I'll just do a quick summary. Group A, Group B, you saw who was on top. GZ, G, The Vicious, Kanga, Bethany, they took the dub. But I just want to give a quick shout. Pig team put in the work. They they did take a map. And they did wake up Kanga, I'll tell you that, because Kanga, they needed a bit of a wake-up call, and it allowed them to come back a bit, which is good, what we want to see. Now, when we went into playoffs, we started off the day, we had upper bracket semis, okay? Ground Zero Gaming just put Bethany down straight away. Bethany did actually wake everyone up to start playing Psylocke. Once Bethany brought out Psylocke, everyone started bringing out Psylocke again. They realized, oh wait, Psylocke's actually going to counter the Punisher. Why is Punisher here? Because everyone's playing Torch, everyone's playing Storm. We didn't have much Jeff Nato in our region. Maybe once, it just wasn't used. And probably because of the nerf as well. But that's mainly what we saw. Human Torch, fantastic force combination, everything's there. Then on the other side, the Vicious went 1-3 against Kanga. This was interesting because we're like, okay, Kanga's going to win. Everyone assumed that. But the Vicious, they're formidable, especially with Lumi's Doctor Strange, right? Which is like, Doctor Strange in this meta? Are you sure? They banned the right picks. Kanga actually started to play dive again, falling back to something they were comfortable with. And it did work for them, and they did take it forward and move on to upper bracket finals. Now, this was what people call the People's Finals. Ground Zero Gaming vs Kanga Esports are the 2 big Aussie orgs at the moment in Marvel Rivals. So this one was chaos. It was absolute chaos. But we thought it was close, but Kanga got 3-1, and we're like, oh, momentum is big. And I want to ask all of you about this. In this game especially, winner's momentum is so valuable because the game does not slow down. There's no downtime. There's no like in CS where there's breaks in between rounds to like actually, all right, what are we doing? The percentage bar is going and you're stressing out. The goats on Yiggsguard are pushing, the spider bot is moving, like all the convoy maps, everything's just moving. So like, when do you have time to actually recollect what you need to do? There is downtime in between maps, but I noticed that winner's momentum carried forward. So then we go back to lower brackets. Bethany officially knocked out by the Vicious, a good fight, but the game's the game. The Vicious, finally feeling confident. They go now into lower bracket finals. Now it's to decide who's going to be second, who's going to go to the grand finals. Kanga, we thought would take it, but the Vicious woke up. Lumi's Doctor Strange. We call it the Tomahawk Agamotto, where the Doctor Strange just gets lobbed into the enemy. All right. I don't know why. Someone in chat said it. It's a Tomahawk Agamotto, and it just was so consistent. So much pressure coming from them. Kanga, I feel as though they read the meta wrong, and I believe we had an interview with one of their players who said that they read the meta wrong and they're the ones controlling bans and picks, and I feel like they need to just hit the books again, figure out coming into this meta like what they could have done differently. So they're going to take that lesson and they're going to learn it well. But yeah, they did lose to the Vicious, which means we have Ground Zero Gaming versus the Vicious. Now the storyline here is actually really cool because let me get my notes out because I already wrote this earlier.
Yeah, the Vicious started off strong, right? They got the first couple maps.
They did. The Vicious actually is Australian players, a couple Singapore as well, but Saudi-owned org, so Saudi Arabian-owned org. So represent out of here, international in the OC region. We love it. And then Ground Zero Gaming, of course, Aussie-owned org, big in like Rocket League and other games like that.
Yes.
I've known the Ground Zero Gaming players since like February. I've watched them in monthly tournaments and stuff like that. To see them like form a team, get signed, good for those lads. Absolute legends for that. A bit of a troublesome bunch, but they deserved it. So what happened in the Kanga vs Vicious matchup was there was actually a bit of a pause in that turning match, and that killed Kanga's momentum. That was a tough one for them.
Man,
I believe the Marvel Rivals Invitational player Donald, the winner of the Invitational, he had a issue where his Magneto just got sent backwards at a 45-degree angle, and it just killed the momentum. I felt so bad for them in the moment. We didn't know what was going on, but that definitely happened, and the Vicious just collapsed on him. It was on Clintar as well, so it was a very deciding moment. And that's how that ran. So yeah, Vicious had the feeling that we could win this. And literally going into the best of 7, you saw how close it was. Ground Zero took map 1. The Vicious took 2 maps in a row. Ground Zero got panicky. Definitely. I heard the manager chat is going crazy. Like, what are we going to do, guys? What are we going to do? We can't lose this. Because in our region, only one team goes to the mid-season. That's right. So the winner of this goes to LAN. So it was all on the line for everyone right here. Everyone wanted this opportunity. And the funniest thing is, Ground Zero Gaming versus the Vicious, they have not versed at all in playoffs. They have not versed at all in group stages. The only time these two teams have versed each other was when they were trialing players like months ago, trying to build their teams. So this is literally like an unknown versus unknown variable matchup, and it was a fight of the century. It was so good. Ultimately, I feel as though the last round, Ground Zero had 2 maps. 1 in a row after the Vicious took 2, and then obviously they had the one earlier. So then they did one more map. It was on Bernard T'Challa, I believe. And to start off the round, they banned Doctor Strange from the Vicious, which means we didn't see the Tomahawk Agamottos anymore. And in the last 90 percentile, when it was going crazy, I was literally commenting, I'm like, and now the Vicious are going to be able to portal on point to contest. Wait a minute, Strange is banned. And in that moment, the time is ticking down and you're seeing them struggle to make it to point. Ground Zero held them at the door, as we know the choke points on that map. And yeah, they took the dub and claimed the playoffs, claimed victory. And that's the story of OCE pretty much. It was very dramatic, but a lot of Groots. Zen Starry on Ground Zero is probably one of the best Groots in the region. Self-proclaimed best Vanguard in OCE. We might have to rub away the self-proclaimed part because you did win the MRI at the end of the day.
Exactly. I was just thinking about that.
We had, I believe, Kanga had Donald, who we called LeBronald because of his Magneto. We had we had the Vicious's Magneto player. We called him Air Adam. He was just too good. And then we had on Ground Zero Gaming, we had Duep, who was Dunkmaster Duep. Just, I believe, getting the 4K Magneto Meteor M, my goodness, just woke up the entire region. There was so much. And also, the duelist players on Ground Zero Gaming, you had 6 on the Hella, getting the first Hexa KO. 6 was so good on Hella. Dude, is getting the first Hexa KO living up to your name. Name 6, getting 6. What do you expect from them? It's crazy. And of course, FMCL was the Human Torch that just burnt up the entire competition. And the strategist there, and we believe MVP actually goes to Maddie, who was literally Cloak and Dagger so much more than anyone else. Every single Eternal Bond that was on the board built faster than Ultron. Anytime we saw Ultron, Rage of Ultron, which usually builds fastest, Eternal Bond was there. Maddie was there. What I noticed the difference is because Ground Zero didn't play Magneto Emma as much as other teams. They played their Groot and they played their Strange or the Magneto sometimes, but those heroes, right, without the shields, are actually taking damage. So their strategists are pouring more healing into them and building that ult quicker. They're intentionally taking damage to build their strategist ults to counter anything coming from them. That's pretty much. I'll stop riffing there. I'll let you.
You're good. You're good. You know? I mean, it's nice to hear like more insight about this region because a lot of people, you know, based on time zones and things of that sort, mainly got to pay attention to either EMEA or Americas or both if they were degenerates like the most of us. But even then, like hearing the different stories and the different compositions and meta and like so much focus on Magneto as well, but also Doctor Strange being so effective on that side is pretty cool too. I mean, looking on the other side of things here as well, Hogs, I feel like Doctor Strange has still been sort of like a good pick for a lot of teams because there's always been either the Emma or there's been the Magneto that's been focused for those target bans. You have to get one or the other based on how things were going in Americas there specifically. And because of how effective that portal is, without having it, you are just nerfed essentially when it comes to certain maps.
I mean, yeah, the portal is really nice, but I think the big like upside to Strange is his ults and how quickly you can build it.
True.
I think he has the fastest building ult in like as a tank, besides maybe Groot. I think there's been multiple occasions where like Kaluj playing Strange will build 2 ults in 1 fight.
Oh yeah,
And
my god.
each of those ults can all be winning fights. I think Strange is slowly becoming more and more popular after like a Magneto first ban or an Emma first ban. And I think very soon we're going to see a lot more Doctor Strange, and we're 1 mag nerf away from going back to Strange meta.
Yep, I'm not too surprised about that. Imperator, I want to ask you, why an onion?
Me? Oh no! I have weird snacks when I'm nervous.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Chat's been asking the whole time, so I had
It's like
to
an
ask
onion
the
with skin
question.
on. It's like an onion with skin on. I just like you know like.
Okay.
I'm just
Just actually eating an onion.
Beautiful.
That's all we need to know. That's all we need to know.
Man.
We had a question, Chad. If you had if it was like garlic you had earlier, if it was an onion.
Oh no,
so
it's just the onion I use. Like
Yeah, I gotcha,
I
I
like it
gotcha.
as a snack. I think raw onion is good.
cool.
Healthy.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I mean, to each their own on that end. Maybe that's the kind of mindset, those snacks that you need to get schmungus back on top in EMEA as well. for
Focus
that
is needed.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
onions help me
focus there.
focus. So
Yeah. Okay. I like it. I like it.
the question for Liger, if I may.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What's with OC and their team names? I see Gapped, Pick Team, Kanga Esports, Bethany. Is there like a trend going on in OC and having like goofy names or like?
Wait, it says you.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Yeah.
It's like
Berber,
goofy.
Batapin, Smungus.
Yeah, what is it? I feel like I'm singing songs reading your team names. Listen.
Patapim is just cultural. It's Italian.
Okay, respect. I mean, my own team is playing in MRC. We called Buff Jeff. Like, we got a message to send to the world.
Nice.
Like, all right, well, Ground Zero Gaming, KG Esports, they're orcs. They're vicious as well as orc. I don't know why it's called Bethany. I don't know why. Who's Bethany?
With a little
I don't
heart
know.
too.
Yeah, I don't know. Gapped, I don't know why there's 3 Ps. I got no clue. I'll never understand why.
Maybe Gap with 2 Ps was taken. You know.
Maybe it was
be,
taken.
yeah.
There was like 5 different peak teams at one point in MRC.
It was.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
There was like Pig Syndicate is another one, right?
Pig team, pig syndicate, man. I don't know. It's too many. It's too many. But yeah, like these teams. I mean, look. At the end of the day, you know, we're trying our best. Obviously, there's 3 teams without a logo there. You know, see. But what I told players as well was like, for me specifically, I was chasing all these teams. Like, make a Twitter account, make an org account, do everything. Wake up.
So we
you're
can at
in
least
the
tweet
group
you guys.
stage. Yes, like we want to tag you, make stuff. They're like, yeah, we'll do it. I'm like, what's wrong with you? You already won money. You're already eligible. You're top 8. Make a Twitter account. But that's OCE. Like we're obviously, you know, we're the rookie. What is it? Rookie region, upstart region. Nonetheless,
Yeah.
just watch out. All right, the top dogs. They're putting in the work. They're putting in the work. Ground Zero Game is gonna show up. Yeah, they're gonna show up. They're gonna show up. Look at other games. OCE cooks. You know, when you give them a chance, they cook.
Yeah. They do pretty decent. I mean, I come from Rocket League, and they've like made main event part after group stages and stuff like that. I'm actually going to the major this weekend to see how some of those teams do. It'll be pretty cool.
I mean, IEM. Those are no IEM hosted in Australia. CS, like, imagine we got a major tournament for Marvel Rivals in OCE.
That'd be nuts.
Audience, top tier. My goodness, we'll go crazy.
We need more lands for Marvel Rivals, is all we're saying.
We
here.
literally have Marvel Stadium. We have a stadium called Marvel
Wait,
Stadium.
there's a
in
stadium?
Melbourne.
It has to be. There has to be a Marvel Rivals land
Has to be.
hosted in Marvel Stadium at this point. My question to you before we move on from the OCE playoffs here, in terms of where you hope OCE does in mid-season. I know you don't want them to go, you know, bottom of everything. Where are you hoping that they place? If it's 8 teams, if it's 12, well, it's more than 8 teams from what we know, like 12 or 16 teams, depending on how many they come from China. I'm assuming 12 will probably be what they cap it out at. Where do you want them to perform just for like a good start for the region?
For me, I actually expect them, whatever the tournament format is, in the big leagues, I actually expect them to lose early but make a comeback.
Okay.
I think that is the way OCE folds mostly. If they climb their way back to a grand final, that's just the OCE way. It's just how it is. We're always working on the like we got one chance or we're out system. So that's when we bring out the best in our region. So if they drop down early and they climb through lower bracket, wouldn't want it any other way. That's the way we do it. That'd be the best method.
Okay. That makes sense to me on exactly how you want the team from your region to perform, especially when it comes to like the tough competition that there is going to be out there as well. There's going to be so many top teams competing at this stage of things as well. Now let's go on over to the playoff matchups and brackets that we have. We'll start with EMEA, kind of go for our predictions on placements for that, and then we'll also go into Americas afterwards on that end of things. So looking here towards the future, kind of predictions I'll post in chat for each of these as well. But Zero Tenacity, Team Peps Imperator. Are we thinking Zero Tenacity sweep? Are we thinking Team Peps take this? Like, what are your vibes for this first series?
I hate to say it because I love both players on both teams. I have a really good friend there. DRP is a cute French man. He's a good friend of mine. But whenever Z10 wins, it's not like they're going to go celebrate. It's not like they celebrated for like 10 minutes after Patapim and then boom, back to the drawing board. What can we do? How can we improve? What new comps can we come up with? They're just working so hard. And I know they have a really great coach. So I think it's just going to be a 2-0. At best, in the best case scenario, a 2-1 for Zero Tenacity. Like if Peps is playing really good, I think it's going to be like they're going to take one map. But I think Zero Tenacity has this in the pocket.
Okay. Zero Tenacity. We're seeing what chat thinks as well. For the most part, it seems to be Zero Tenacity on that end. Not too surprised, especially because of how well Zero Tenacity did on their side of things too, and seeing how the different performances are out there. So seeing how Team Peps are kind of makes sense. Rad EU and All Business. I feel like anyone who's watched anything and seeing how well Rad EU has done, that this is also going to be Rad EU taking this. I mean, anyone have any thoughts about that?
I think AB is putting a lot of effort into coming back for playoffs, and they just got one of the most unluckiest seeds to go against. But I think they will show their improvement in the match against Rad. Even if it does look grim for them, I think they're going to show how far they can come in such a short time. And I think they're going to dominate lower brackets. But I think at most, best case scenario, AB takes a map. But then Rad just takes 2 maps if they're locked in. Especially after the loss against VP, I think they're going to be really strong.
Loss against VP be very strong. Take a map. That'd be cool. That'd be a good thing to see from All Business on that end. I think for the most part, we don't really need to pull this one for the other side of things. But for Berber, Patapim, and Insomnia, this is a match that's interesting to me because, like, Insomnia, I believe they did pretty decent in their group, and then Berber, Patapim, of course, like people are saying that's like a top 3 team in EMEA. But Berber, Patapim, and Insomnia, since they took a map against VP, do you think they have a better chance here to potentially take this series against them?
Me personally, I think Patapim, they could have played better against Z10, and I think they saw that themselves. And I think just like how VP lost against Rad and they went back to the drawing board, we're gonna do so much more to beat them. I think Patapim is gonna do the exact same, and I think Insomnia is in for a unlucky time against the bloodthirsty Patapim. The tree has been angered, so I don't think Patapim will leave any people alive.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense on that one. And then, unfortunately for L9, they get VP. I don't think we need to make a poll for that one, and we think VP's probably just going to come out.
I mean, that's let's be real.
Yeah, the coughing baby meme. If you guys know, like hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby, it's Veritas Pro is just gonna take away. It's very unlucky seeding.
Yeah, it's not what you want to see on that end whatsoever. So we kind of get where these first round matchups are going to go. We'll go back around to the NA side of things. Actually, Jesse, we'll do the kind of tier list afterwards once we see the first rounds and go from there. But FlyQuest, Techie XD. Hogs, do you think Techie XD have what it takes to upset FlyQuest here?
I don't think so. I think FlyQuest are too good of a team, like at playing as a team, that I don't think the hero plays of Techie's players will matter. I think this is gonna be a 3-0, and I think FlyQuest will continue their dominance.
Okay. No, that makes sense to me. on that end of things. Chat was saying Insomnia over Berber Patapim, so chat's Insomnia believers. Shout out to chat on that one for the other bracket. we'll see what actually happens.
I think the entire Insomnia roster just pulled out to the stream for the
Yeah, like half of the roster's like, yeah, we got this. This Sentinels Envy map is very interesting, or Envy matchup is very interesting to me, because I feel like Envy recently has had Sentinels number, but since Envy didn't do as well as they did during their group stage performance as they could have, and faltered against 100 Thieves and also FlyQuest afterwards, I mean, both these teams I feel like need to step things up. Hogs, I mean, you are the player that knows the most about Sentinels, but you also know pretty well about Envy. This is probably going to be a close series, right?
I think this map is this series is completely decided by map 1. I think Sentinels is a team that is completely driven by momentum. And if they go up 2-0, if they go up 2-0, they will win. I think now, after this Nemesis series where they got reverse swept, that third map they will know is not as easy. And they will come back and they will make sure to lock in even harder. They're not going to let the reverse sweep happen again. I think if Envy take map 1, I think we'll have a very close series, but I think Envy will take it. I think it comes down to map 1. If Sen take map 1, I think we'll have a 3-0. I think if Envy take map 1, it'll be 3-1.
Okay. Yeah, I think that I kind of agree with that. Chat, let us know what you guys think on these ones specifically. It's kind of tougher for exactly how things will go with that specific matchup. I think that's kind of going to be our best matchup for the first round of playoffs for this specific region. I know on the other side, I mean, Imperator, what would you say your favorite matchup is of the other region that we saw for EMEA? Berber, Patapim, Insomnia, Radiu, All Business. Zero Tenacity Team Peps is decent, but
I think the most exciting match will be Z10 versus Peps. I think it's gonna be the Insomnia, not as good as Insomnia versus Peps, with the crazy overtime. I think the closest match will be Z10 versus Peps, because if you look at the other matches, L9 Virtus Pro.
These are all best of threes to start, by the way. We've just been informed, so
these are
it'll be
best of
interesting.
Quarterfinals might be best of 3, yeah, and then semis is BO5 onwards.
Wow.
If these are BO3s, then map 1 is even more important.
Yeah.
Wow. These are going to be some spicy best of 3s. There's definitely potential for upsets there if teams aren't as prepared as they could be for those matchups as well. 100 Thieves, Shroud X. I don't think anyone's kind of expecting Shroud X to come out on top, unfortunately, for that one. Unless 100 Thieves just do really badly.
I have been told that Shroud X has some secret sauce in the bans.
Ooh.
I'm not sure what.
Okay.
But I've been told there's some secret sauce. I don't know if it'll be enough. I know Shroud X's highs are very high, but their lows are also very, very low.
Everyone's been saying, yeah.
And I think it depends on a few things. What version of Doomed and Impunity you get on that day, and what version of Nuck and Fidel. If both of them are playing at their best, both those groups, I think Shroud X can actually pull an upset if these secret sauce bans are real.
Okay. I'd love to see it. That'd be amazing. What a story that'd be if Shroud X come back. Hopefully Shroud finally watches them instead of playing Dune Awakening or whatever the game is that he's playing at the moment. And actually participates in the esport again. Shout out. Nemesis and Ego Dev. You're rooting for Sentinels? Cool.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I think this is the matchup with the most amount of upset potential.
Nemesis and Ego Death?
I think that Ego Death I think Self is a player who will either win you the game or lose you the game.
That is so true.
I think that is what determines this match. I think it's a BO3. I don't know if Nemesis have had to deal with this shit before. They had to deal with Rai Amazing on BP. As good as Rai is at BP, the sneaky golem, I don't think it's he's not playing golem beatdown like Self is. He's they know it's coming. Can they stop it is the question. I think the next big factor on Ego Death as well is Somble. I think Somble is one of the most slept on players in this tournament, but he also has the same thing Shroud X has, where he has very low lows and extremely high highs. But I do think, and honestly, when I do my predictions later, I might put Ego Death 2-1. Because I think that there is a real upset potential here.
Yeah, I think it really just depends on like if they get tilted early or not. I felt they got tilted against FlyQuest, especially because of some of the target bans that happened there. And as you were saying, like one of the best like ban stage coaches that we have out there, Ryan Guy, is on that team for Nemesis, so might be as prepared as they can be for it. But we'll see what EgoDef comes up with because they've had some time to cook themselves, and we'll see if it was just a fluke, as some people might say, for how they perform, but also just there's so many different dichotomies to Marvel Rivals right now, where it's like pure skill versus focusing so much on like how well they can perfect that pick ban stage, and then they just play their game afterwards. And I feel like that's where we're seeing that matchup between these two teams.
Yeah, and I would say quick shout out to Solaris. I think Solaris really got fucked by bracket.
They did. Oh my gosh.
I will say Solaris might be a top 4 team in NA that just got like fucked by bracket.
Yeah,
I think
it was sad to see.
They have a really cancer read of the meta that is really able to bully some of these unexperienced teams. I think the only team that would beat them every time is Envy. I think every other team could lose to them on any day. Even Envy could. And I think it's very disappointing to see Solaris not qualify.
It is sad, especially because like going into stage 2, we only have 6 teams that competed in Ignite out of the 8 that didn't make the second stage able to actually qualify again, because 2 of those spots are from MRC. So there's guaranteed to be some teams that don't make it in rosters and orgs or whatever composition that we saw from this first stage of Ignite into the second one, which is an interesting decision, but I think that's why they wanted to do that kind of MRC as tier 2 for that. But we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Let's go into our tier list maker here. Let me share my screen here so that you guys can kind of see what we're going through on this side.
100 Thieves is boot camping right now, according
Ooh,
to
boot camping.
Yeah, 100 Thieves and Sentinels are both boot camping.
Smart.
I'm not sure if Envy is, but they might be.
Okay, I respect it. I mean, you got to make sure you can do everything you can for your team, especially at this stage if you want to make the first ever LAN for Marvel Rivals. That's a massive undertaking for a lot of teams and pretty historic itself. And having that be like you're a team who either won your region or also made mid-season if you didn't is a huge thing for just an accolade for these teams as well. Rad Esports are also boot camping too. That's awesome for their squad, and hopefully that'll help them. Yeah.
Fate's a troll. You're getting.
I think Fate's
baited. I'm getting baited.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, that makes sense because I don't think Rad has the resources for that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think after the win of Rad, I don't know who was Rad playing against before the VP match. Do any of you know?
Oh god,
I kind of forgot. I think they played against
There's Insomnia.
Insomnia, yeah. After winning against Insomnia, I was streaming ranked. I was queuing up at 5 a.m. and I found Fate. You know, instead of celebrating like a normal human, you know, like, we won the game against Insomnia, let's go like a small drink, sleeping early. I found this guy at 5 a.m. playing Punisher as a support player. And he was showing me his technology that he learned from Melio. And what he did is he shifted into the enemy team as Punisher while ulting, and he killed himself. That's the tech he wanted to show me on Punisher. So I don't know. He just ran down my game. But yeah, it's fine.
10 out of 10 ranked strats. That's what we like to see.
Yeah, it's really important that when you're talking to Fate, you believe nothing he says.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've now learned this today. Don't believe Fate. That is the moral of the story here.
He's gonna tell us jobless bum got jobs or something like that, man. Come on.
You know,
Yeah.
that's true. The biggest ban against them is when they have to. The biggest save is a job application for them. So we'll see if that happens in the future. Jesse, if you can bring up the shared screen here, I don't know if it's working. There we go. This is the tier maker. It has all the old teams though that just qualified for Ignite. I didn't want to make a new one, but mid-season we've heard. Not 100% confirmed. I was hoping they would today, but allegedly, 2 teams from EMEA qualify for mid-season, and then these are kind of like the placements afterwards for that as well. So based on what we were talking about in the bracket, seeing L9 probably somewhere lower, 7th to 8th, 5th to 6th. How are we feeling about them, Imperator?
I think it's gonna be sadly based off seeding in 7th to 8th.
Okay.
They're gonna come a far way, but I think we will see L9 shine in stage 2 and not in stage 1.
Oof. That's rough to hear. Okay, another team that I wanted to ask about too that has potential here, Insomnia. How are we feeling this squad's going to do? They looked pretty decent during the group stage. They qualified. They took a map off VP. Is that enough to get them close to mid-season, or are they just kind of like still on the fringe?
I think it's gonna be a fun match against Patapim. A really fun match, especially with Demon. You know, his Wolverine. It just makes a lot of fun. He makes a lot of good clips. But I think they're not gonna beat Patapim, but I think they're gonna really shine in the losers bracket. So I think they're gonna make it higher than L9 for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
I think in
can
stage
see
2
that.
as L9 they're gonna improve a lot. It's a
Makes
new
sense
team,
to
so
me. Well, Team Peps, they're the team that's facing off against Zero Tenacity. They've had some good potential here and there. Are they going to potentially make that run all the way to top 4? Or are they just going to be 7th to 8th or 5th to 6th?
they're for sure a better team than L9 as of now. So I think they're gonna be in the same tier around Insomnia because they do learn fast, they do adapt fast, but actually, it's really tough. It's really tough. There's only 2 teams that can be in the Insomnia tier, right? If I read correctly, there's only 2 teams. Yeah. Oh.
All business or Peps, who do you think's higher than, I guess, at this point?
I think all business will finish higher than Peps and L9 for sure.
Okay. We got those locked in. So let's put everyone else in the 4th tier that we have here for now and see how they perform afterwards. But at this point, oh yeah, I don't have the rad logo. This is Team 1. Old tier list there specifically for this one. But out of these teams, I think we can pretty realistically say VP is going to make grand finals, right?
Yes.
If VP don't make LAN, I will amputate my own legs.
Oh.
I will not eat for 2 hours if VP doesn't make grand finals, and that's really
2
hard.
hours. That's a long time.
I will not eat for 2 hours.
Wow. What about you, Liger? What will you not do if?
He's gonna have to shave beard.
I'm not touching the beard. Not in my life. No way. Nah, look, you know what? Why do I feel like VP might get an upset here? Why do I feel like they might not make it to the mid-season? I don't know. Everyone thinks they will. I don't know. Just something about that last series. You never know.
You know what?
But yeah,
I'm going to poll chat to see who they think is going to be that second team to join them. Let me know you guys think as well on like your thought process of it's going to be Zero Tenacity, Berber Patapim's that second logo for those who aren't as familiar, and then Team 1, which is Rad Esports EU on the other end.
I think
all works. There we go.
I think any of these 3 teams will make it. I think realistically, I think Zero Tenacity will be just shy, in my opinion. I think they're gonna barely like miss out, maybe by a couple maps.
How has Patapim performed against Virtuous, bro?
We're the only team, well, one of the only teams who like took maps against them previously, but we haven't seen them play afterwards. Yeah.
Wondering if they're gonna knock them to lowers bracket.
That'd be nuts. That'd be nuts.
Because it's early. It's early on.
For me, I can't say what I know, but Patapim has been holding back, and I think they're gonna steamroll. Not VP, but I think Z10 and Rad, they're gonna do way better than anyone has seen so far on the live stream in the tournament setting. I think Patapim is gonna do better than both teams. I really love the players on both teams of Z10 and Rad, but I think number 1 and 2 will be VP and Patapim, and then Z10 and Rad slightly like, you know, on the left side, and then Z10 on the right side. I think that's how the top 4 will be. Like, I'm 99% sure.
Chat disagrees with you right now. They're saying, at least for the most part, Rad EU will be that team to join them on that end. That's tough. I mean, Rad EU versus Berber Patapim, I think that's where most people are kind of swaying. A lot of people also saying Z10, but I think there's Z10 players in the chat and staff that might be rooting for themselves on that end. Either way, though, it's going to be intense to see how those upper bracket semifinals go, because we can kind of expect Verse Pro versus Berber Patapim, Radu versus Zero Tenacity, unless we see some upsets. And then once it gets to the upper bracket final, that really will decide, okay, we'll finally have a team guaranteed to make midseason, and then the other team who has to play against whoever's in losers to hopefully make it afterwards, which is gonna be nuts on that side.
Someone typed, I trust in Dusty.
Trust in Dusty? Yeah, I got you guys. Dusty's making midseason. Take your screenshot here and now.
Dusty is making it.
Bring him back.
Oh, man. They're just being resurrected from the ashes and then somehow making it there.
They're cashing in.
For now, I'm going to put Team 1 / Radu because they're the only team in Ignite who's taken down VP. It's still a toss-up, though, between them and Berber Patapim, in my opinion. I mean, what are you feeling about that one, Hugs?
I think that's possible. I think Berber, if they're given their dive shit, and if we get there and it's still like part of the meta, I think Berber are very capable of being VP and Rad on that. I think Berber is the scariest dive team in the world right now.
Okay.
And I think if given the right situation, they will potentially be the team that makes it over Rad. I think it could go either way.
Okay.
I really agree with Hogs here. If you guys remember Fight Night, first time VP wins against Patapim, the Captain America Jeff from Patapim, it just 100-0 domination, man. VP didn't even get a fight in. Like, the Cap Shark from Patapim was just dominating the backline. There was nothing they could do.
And you guys are convincing me for Berber Patapim. So we're going to go Berber Patapim officially on who we think is going to make mid-season on this one. The tough thing is only one of those teams can make it to the upper bracket final. So they would have to pull off the lower bracket win to make it into the grand final based on how the bracket is going currently. So that'll be super intense to see which team makes that run, if it is going to be these teams all the way there. But let us know in chat who you think and want to see in midseason. I hope they extend EMEA to allow 3 teams, because there's so many good teams in EMEA. Sure. Just having 2 rosters, making it is kind of nuts in my opinion, but is what it is on that end of things. Looking on the other side though, let me see if I can share my screen for the other one here. So sorry, Jesse, I did that on you on a whim. I thought it would let me do it immediately. There we go. We do have the America's side, and they have allegedly 3 teams that will qualify for mid-season. So we're just gonna put Dark Zero up there. They're gonna qualify and make it there now.
I'm home now, so we're gonna win every match.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, before we get into this, Hogs, I guess we didn't kind of address it. It must be rough to like just be on the outside looking in while your team's just not able to make it to the next stage. I mean, what was the kind of your thought process seeing how things were going on there, and then like also being in another country, enjoying your vacation? Just bad timing, it felt like.
Yeah, like before Ignite had got announced, I'd planned my trip around the MRC schedule because I thought that was all that was going on. And then, like 2 weeks later, after I've booked everything, none of it's refundable. They're like, yeah, Ignite's going to be during June. And I'm like, oh, maybe hopefully they mean open quals. And, then I have my spot with magnets, like the magnet slot. We had everything planned out. And then, like, 2 weeks before I leave, they're like, yeah, that group stage is going to be when you're gone.
Cool.
So it was a little bit tragic. And I would have been out a little bit too much money to cancel my trip.
I could definitely understand that too, especially a trip all the way to Japan from Canada is it's a long destination compared to what you would typically see flying from the US going to like California and then trying to do that afterwards. It's nuts. So I definitely get that on those end of things. Just unfortunate timing. Hopefully for timing's sake, we get an announcement of when exactly mid-season is going to be. We still don't know. And teams are competing this weekend for mid-season. When mid-season is, where it actually is. I know there's people that they have said it's allegedly in China, but we don't have it 100% confirmed to the public on when it is or where it is. And I think teams kind of need to know this so that they can plan for it. If they're going to have people in person, they need to plan for like an actual people to go and show up for it too. I know there's probably going to be a lot of fans in China that would go to it, but even then, some sort of indication of when this thing is, because this is the playoffs happening for the other regions this weekend. China playoffs don't happen for a couple of weeks though, so maybe they're waiting until those finish up, but it's supposed to happen at least at the end of July, and that's coming up pretty soon, less than a month here as well. So please, Netties, if you're watching for whatever reason, announce the dates, please, so that people can know and actually pay attention and not have things scheduled when they're going to watch things like I have the last couple of weeks because I've been busy.
Hopefully
anyway
soon. Hopefully soon. Rant over on that end. We'll get the official numbers of which players or teams can qualify for Reach a Region this weekend, because I know that's what happened for OCE. They gave you guys like the information like day of for that as well, which is nuts. So we'll do it live. What do you expect?
Tangent aside, looking at these teams that are out here. Okay, so we have Ego Def, this squad facing off against Team Nemesis. I, for some reason, don't have a feeling that they're going to be 7th, 8th. How do you feel about this, Hogs?
I think that they're 7th, 8th, or they're 5th. Like, obviously, I think
one of those
the highest
two
they're going to be. I think the only team that they're going to be able to beat, I think, no matter like how the bracket turns out, will be actually they might be able to beat Nemesis, and I think if they play Shroudex and lowers, there is an even higher chance they could beat Shroudex, because Shroudex have showed that they're very bad at playing against not like amazing teams. I think Shadox is very good at a very bad thing, which is playing at the level of their opponent. So that they could play very high versus Envy, or they could play really low versus Nightmare.
Okay.
And that's like kind of their spectrum. And I think that honestly comes down to their tank players a lot. I think Dongman and Impunity both have that problem where, Impunity can show up and be a good player versus, like a top team, and then show up versus Nightmare and like low-key be like slightly running it down. And I think that their tank players completely dictate how Shadox plays. And for Ego Death, it's just Self, right? Like Self Ensemble. I think if those two have a good day, they could be either of these teams 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
And another shout out is Ego Death's backline, the supports. They're two of the most like consistent support players, I think. And I think they're the core of this team. And like the reason they're able to be even remotely competitive as well.
Makes sense. We'll keep them in 7 and 8 for now. We might move them up depending on who joins them on that side of things. Techie XD. How are we feeling about this team? I mean, there's also potential for the squad, but they're also a team that's like, okay, looking at the rest of the field that's out there, depending on who they face off against, it's going to be tough for them. I feel like they've kind of reached where we expect them to be. How do you feel about that, Hogs?
Techie have a tragic bracket. They have to play FlyQuest first, and then they have to play the loser of Sen versus Envy. So unfortunately, I think it's 7th through 8th. If they are that level of a team, honestly, they could be higher. If they had a different kind of bracket, they could have been higher. But with the bracket they've been given, I think they are unfortunately 7th through 8th.
Makes sense. Yeah, especially based on how their bracket's going for that end of things too. Okay, Shroud X, this team with a very low floor, very high ceiling. 5th, 6th, maybe?
Yeah, realistically 5th through 6th with how they're playing. But like honestly, like if they're having a good day, like put them to LAN. Like that's the level of difference we have.
That would be insane to see. I mean, I'd be so happy for them personally.
I mean, low key, if they lost to Nightmare, they could have had the FlyQuest effect next stage and like just went straight to LAN. But honestly, I think the Nightmare scare won't be enough. I don't think the scare with them is enough.
Okay. So we'll keep them 5th, 6th for now. Nemesis. Where do we feel Nemesis in this list ranks?
They're on the edge of LAN.
Edge of LAN. Okay. Keep them in 4th for now.
I think this team, if they continue with it, if Ryan Guy has really good bans for the rest of this tournament, there's a real possibility they make LAN.
So the problem is we have 100 Thieves, we have FlyQuest, we have Sentinels, we have Envy, and Nemesis, all here with potential to make mid-season. We got to make a decision.
Is it 2 or 3 slots?
This is
3 slots apparently for NA.
Ooh.
I'm friends with people on all of these teams, so it's like which one of my friends do I make upset today? Let me go look at the bracket real quick.
Yeah, you're all good. Jesse, if you want to bring up the bracket actually, so we can look at that real quick for the Americas playoffs, gives us some time to think.
I sense an Ego Death upset. I don't know if they're that low.
Ooh.
Might spice it up.
Okay. I think this is going to be a hot take. I think we're putting 100 Thieves in 5th through 6th.
Wow.
Ooh.
Okay.
I think with their bracket, they will play the winner of Nemesis Ego Death, which I'm honestly changing my opinion to Nemesis. And I think Nemesis will be able to shut down Terra with bans, and I think Terra is the lifeblood of 100T.
I agree with that.
I think with this, and then after losing to that team, they'll probably end up playing the loser of Sentinels versus Envy, and I think both of those teams will beat 100 Thieves on that day. I think after losing to Nemesis, I think Terra is going to have one of his Terra moments, and I think the team's going to go into their next match a little boomed.
Oh no.
That's saying 100 Thieves will make mid-season.
Wait, Hawks, is it true that from EU, right? I hear from EU teams that 100 Thieves isn't really a team without TTK and Terra. Is this true?
If I speak. I speak in big trouble.
Big trouble.
Oh.
Oh man. Well, right now, Chad does not have faith in FlyQuest and Envy on their side of things. I mean, do we feel like FlyQuest could potentially get upset again and not make mid-season?
I think it's very possible. I think FlyQuest are a very up and down team. I think right now they're riding the high road. as long as there's no like accidents along the way. I think the only condition where they don't make LAN is if they drop a map to TechXD. I think if they lose a single map to TechXD, they will not make LAN.
Oof.
It's valid.
Rough. Okay. So are we for sure putting 100 Thieves in 5th and 6th?
I think with the bracket they've been given, I think that's my prediction. It's probably like, I'm probably high as shit for this, but I think that's what we're going with.
Okay, so Nemesis making it to upper bracket final from that side, so they'll be guaranteed at least top 3.
That's top 3,
so
and that's
would be
LAN.
mid-season. Yeah. Other side, Sentinels, FlyQuest, who makes upper bracket final? Or not, or Sentinels, Envy. Excuse me, I'm saying Sentinels over Envy on that one. And FlyQuest, who makes upper bracket final from that side?
You know what? Like, this is hard because like I love a lot of the FlyQuest players. Obviously, like Sen, some of my best friends. I was on the team with them for almost a year. So it's like this is the hard one.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's a little bit hard to be objective. I think after the reverse sweeps by Nem, I think Sen are gonna lock in. They're at boot camp. Their like vibes are gonna be high. I think Sen will be the team that goes through to upper bracket.
Okay. So that's between a FlyQuest and Envy for that last spot, potentially. Unless 100 Thieves, you know, they are also in that conversation. I don't think we can say definitively Shroud X would be there as well. But through that lower bracket run, only one of those teams can make it through. I'm going to do another poll in the chat to see what they think on this one as well, between FlyQuest and Envy. I mean, all 3 of these teams have that potential. Is the crazy thing to think about.
Yeah.
Especially just like what we've seen. And there's also just potential for them not to show up as well as they would like to. It's so tough, especially in Americas.
This is going to sound crazy. This match between Fly and Envy completely comes down to the match between Techie and FlyQuest.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think if FlyQuest even lose like the slightest bit of confidence in that Techie XD series, I think they won't make LAN. And I think it'll be Envy.
Okay.
I think if FlyQuest go through, they roll through Techie, they play a close match with Sen, I think they can go in and beat Envy that day.
So FlyQuest making is what you say?
Yeah, I think FlyQuest right now, they have a great read on the meta, or they have the best Hulk no more comp in NA, and I think these teams don't really know how to deal with this. I think Spark Chief is probably the most underrated player in this game. I think very highly of Spark Chief, and I know he's got an insane work ethic, and I know he's gonna try to pull FlyQuest over that line, and I think he'll be able to.
Okay, so we got Nemesis, Sentinels, and FlyQuest. No particular order, making mid-season potentially.
We like make a 4th tier like on the edge or like borderline LAN.
Oh yeah,
and like put 100T there.
Like hopeful, basically.
Yeah, like LAN hopeful or something.
Someone DM'd you, yeah? Said, hey, come on.
No, it's not. I'm looking at it and I'm seeing 100 Thieves or Shroud X, and if this goes on Twitter, like
it's different levels for sure on that one. That's very true. No offense to Shroud X, but yeah, I don't think 100 Thieves you can like, unless there's like an upset. This bracket's tough too, so there's like potential for that as well to be on that same tier. So Ego Def and Techie on the lower, Shroud X above, LAN Hopefuls, Envy, 100 Thieves, then mid-season Nemesis, Sentinels, and FlyQuest. No particular order on that. I mean, we can kind of do a little bit of an order based on these 3 teams making it to their specific spots. Who do we think would be the top team out of Americas?
Sentinels.
I think it's FlyQuest.
FlyQuest. Okay.
I think FlyQuest is going to come back from their Sen loss with like fire under them. I think Yoki is going to get in the kitchen. I think Yoki is one of the. I worked with Yoki in the beta. He worked with Nightmare with the Sen players. He is a very smart guy. He's one of the nicest humans I've ever talked to. And I think he's gonna be able to bring that team over. I think Falx is gonna help them. And again, I think Spark Chief is gonna be that player that pulls them over the line.
Okay. I respect it.
Cool.
Go back to EMEA real quick. I think we should also do a LAN hopeful for this one too. Just so that we can kind of see.
OCE tier list. We just put Pig Team at the top and everyone at the bottom.
Pig Team at the top, exactly. LAN hopeful. because I think either of the teams, Rad Esports and Zero Tenacity, have that potential to make it there too. It's just kind of a toss-up. I mean, Virtus Pro aren't as invincible as they had on the actual broadcast as they used to be. Rad has beaten them, but we'll have to see once it gets to the actual playoff stage, because that's when everything matters the most for these things too. And Jesse, if you want to bring it back to us now, after we've looked at all these different pools and brackets and things of that sort, we're not going to go over Asia and China today, just because I want to focus more on kind of the meta talk a little bit here on what we can expect going into these playoffs. Liger, you had the playoffs already for OCE. We saw a little bit of a different story than what we see in the other regions, but do you feel like the playoffs is going to make these teams pull out strats we haven't seen so far based on what you saw in OCE?
It already has. We've seen BP come out in multiple regions. People are realizing it's absolutely dominating when it comes to your Emma and your Magneto lineups. Emma's not seeing the light of day. I don't even know why I mentioned her. Just forget it. It's not happening. Most of these teams are bringing out Magneto. Magneto seems to be like, I feel like there's an honor pick ban system going on with Magneto. I feel like both teams are like, we both deserve Magneto because it's just fun. we both deserve it. So they're shutting out Emma. Doctor Strange players are coming back because it used to be big meta pick, and it's been a while. And as you said, we're one ban away from one nerf on Magneto away from a Strange meta. Other than that, I feel like strategist wise, is C&D rising up for anyone else as well?
Yeah, so
Because
I was actually going to talk about that. We didn't even have a chance to mention this before, but I feel like there's been a development of kind of that damage boost meta a little bit, using cloak and daggers with their specific, I forget the exact name of it though, but it's that blanket that they basically put on their opponents that make it so you can do so much more damage against them. And then there's also the storm like AoE area that gives the damage boost, and then Mantis also for the damage boost, and then the one that you can get for the ultimate for Luna Snow on that end. I mean, Imperator and Hogs, feel free to chime in, either of you. Like, do you think this damage meta with having Punisher also involved in the mix, doing so much work against the other teams, is going to be more prevalent in playoffs?
Hogs,
I mean, yeah, 100%. Like, I think Cloak is becoming to be a lot more viable, a lot more like stronger. Like, Cloak ult is the longest lasting support ults. Magneto gets banned a fair bit, you know, so like you can't really kill it as easily. And then Blind is one of the best abilities in this game that no one realized until recently.
True.
Like the ability to just like fast turn a corner, walk hard, kill through support ults. Blind's probably the single best piece of utility in the support role. And even in brawl comps, Cloak is starting to become better than Luna, even if Luna is open.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I mean, Loki and Luna are not seeing the light of day anytime soon. So Cloak, Mantis, Rocket, these healers, these healers have really been pulling up, and I've seen in scrims from high tier teams that they've started to coordinate. If it's a team with Punisher and Cloak, it's always gonna be the same. Cloak's gonna ult first, Punisher's gonna walk in with ult, and I have seen a team, I won't say who, they have managed a way to coordinate that when they know the ult tracker, the IGL knows there's a fight gonna happen. They know in this position, they're putting their healers in a position where Cloak will be prepared for the enemy Punisher and enemy Cloak to ult in, and it's always going to be Cloak ulting first, so the Punisher doesn't die during the charge up of his ult. Their own Cloak is prepared and goes into the Cloak form, and they terror Cloak while the Cloak is dashing, and the Punisher is ready with a shotgun, and you don't have to hit all your pellets to one-shot the Cloak if she's already terror cloaked during her ultimate. So I saw a Cloak just instantly get obliterated by a Punisher who wasn't even close, like that close range. Just terror cloaking the Cloak, ulting in, and she's gone. And Punisher ults as well, the ult is wasted. So if teams can coordinate that, I think the casters are gonna go crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Canute just one tap with Hawkeye a couple of times on the different Cloak and Daggers that were ulting there too. So it's just the counterplays that are going to have to come out from that as well. A little bit different than just going for the Magneto, just Meteor against them too, is interesting to see on that end as well. And I can't wait to see the ingenuity that these teams are going to bring out when it comes to Cloak and Dagger, but also using those different ultimates. I mean, Punisher in general, I know a lot of people are like, oh no, they don't have the team up that they used to have for the infinite ammo, but I say overall Punisher has become more meta than they used to be, just based on how much damage they can do and how many teams don't really have too much of an answer against their ultimate here, Hogs.
Isn't that because of fly meta?
Yeah.
Sorry, just to check. I feel like Flyer Meta happened, right? And that's why everyone's brought out Punisher and Hello again?
I think for Punisher, it's more of just consistent damage and like a crazy ult. Hela had a little like resurgence for about a week, and now Hela's almost completely gone again. It's like because Dive came back. You know, we had like our Dive season last season. We had our update. You know, like Dive kind of fell off, and then Dive's like back up, and now Dive's good again. And that mostly Burr would be thankful for that. Like they are the Dive game.
Volume pokey.
And then like at the end of the day, like Punisher, just a shit ton of damage, can one-shot Cloak, can one-shot almost every support ult. And Punisher ult is just insane for taking space. It's hard to deal with. And then his, like, just comboed with Storm, like the damage with Punisher. Like, you just, like, fuck in front to back. Oh, I don't know if I can compare, but...
No, you're good.
Yeah, I think Loki Luna being this strong, as always, and Dive being slightly nerfed brought back front-to-back meta. So... front to back meta, you're gonna see heroes like Punisher and Torch Sign, and even if there's flyers like Iron Man and Torch, you're gonna see Punisher being played, Hawkeye, Hela. Even though Hawkeye is nerfed with the Luna team up, I think he's still gonna be played. But yeah.
I want to know everyone's opinions on Ultron, like before we end things off here as well. Liger, how do you feel about Ultron?
Please more. All right. Everyone is afraid to play Ultron, and I'm also seeing afraid to play the Iron Man as well. I thought we were going into this, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought we were going into this saying Iron Man was the heavy pick to handle Storm and Torch and Star-Lord even at one point with the Ultron team up. I thought Ultron bringing back triple strategist meta was going to be something prevalent, but it's being banned. It is being banned fairly enough, which I feel like teams are then just assuming, okay, Ultron's going to get banned, Emma's going to get banned, let's work up team comps that aren't going to utilize that. I'd like to see more Ultron. I do wonder if they'll do a little sneaky buff, because he is the new hero, and historically, you know, you want to make the new hero fun to play and in your tournaments.
We've seen him a lot in the other regions. I know not as much in OCE there specifically, but in Paradise, we saw like really good Ultron play in EMEA.
Yeah, I mean, all business all the time. Like the Ultron plays Slopo was doing, like he was just... it was just beautiful. I think it was AB who did it, like a strange portal on the Krakoa domination map. There was a strange portal, and Ultron was flying with the strange. It was just them two, and Ultron just went in the backline with strange, with the ult, popping it out and just dominating the backline. I think Ultron is so fun when he's being played on an off angle and in the backline, but I think it's really boring when he's being played front to back, just putting the drone on the Punisher and just shooting healers. And if you just, it's so simple. If you just shoot the healers as Ultron, then they're forced to look at each other. And if you have a Punisher in your team, he's going to get way more value out of shooting tanks, because the healers won't be able to do both things at the same time. So I think Ultron, it's just, it just does so much things.
He's a flank flyer. He should be behind them. Yeah.
He's a very,
What about you, Hogs?
That character is the most boring character in this game. I think that character just takes all of the fun. You know, I'm like, I go from playing like a dive mirror, you know, a lot of fun, like fun characters, to I might as well just be playing Star Wars Battlefront 2. Like, I'm just shooting, X-Wing, TIE Fighter over there, there's something above my head, I'm dead. And like, as a tank player, it's worse. Like, unless I'm playing Hulk, there's no, like, I have no impact on these characters, and
we need a flying tank.
It's so hard to hit Ultron as Magneto Hulks. It's so hard to hit Ultron.
Yeah,
I'm calling it now. It's the Hulkbuster. Hulkbuster is going to be a flying Vanguard, guaranteed. It's going to be. Please.
I do dislike this Ultron character a lot, but I have a very weird liking and disliking of characters. Like, I think Sue is my most hated character in this game.
I can see why.
Just because I play Hulk, and that character is cancer.
Yep.
But yeah, no,
I think pulls are so annoying, especially as a tank.
Yeah, I think just give us back Season 0 meta and just nerf Hela, and then everything is like life is good.
I'm just so curious what Season 3 is going to be like as well, because we don't know for sure all the information about the new heroes, but Season 3 is going to happen. I think July 11th is when it's been rumored, because it's always been like on the 11th or something that the new seasons have come out. So that's going to happen before mid-season actually occurs. There'll at least be a couple weeks for these teams to improve and learn the different metas and things of that sort. But one thing I wanted to actually bring up as well, I forgot about too, the tournament client here. It's on a different patch. It's a different setup, so it's not having those like nerfs and buffs that we had for like the temporary patch that happened last week. I think it was on like Thursday, that when the event was starting again, they were playing on the old patch. They're still not playing on the new one even this week ahead of time. Do you think they're going to have it be on the old patch here, Hogs, going forward? Or are they just going to like say, hey, the tournament client's updated, we're on season 3, you're going to be playing on the new meta for that? Like, is that enough time for teams to prepare for it?
Mid-season will 1000% be on on season 3.
Yeah.
I think that netties are too business oriented to notice that, hey, this might be like a risk to competitive integrity, which even it might not be because there's enough time to prep.
True.
But they're going to want to use the tournament to promote the new season, promote Phoenix. Yeah, they're going to probably make Phoenix like busted so that she sees play. That's
what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, no, it'll 1000% be on new patch, and then this weekend will be on last patch.
Makes sense. I just can't wait to see that kind of difference in play from this patch to the next one, how things adapt like that. But we've reached our kind of time for the day today. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We're going to go kind of down the line, get some final thoughts, shout outs, things of that sort, starting with Liger, then ending off with Hogs. Liger, any final thoughts, opinions, rants, things you want to get off your chest before we send things away for the day?
All right, I need more Moon Knight players, please. Please. We want to call it. You know how fun it is as a caster to scream, the moon! Like, please, just give me that. Any region. But, look, overall, it's beautiful. Playoffs are done for OCE. You're all about to get into your playoffs, so you're going to have a fun time with that one. It's going to get dire for the teams. You're going to see strats you haven't seen before, and you're definitely going to see upsets because everyone wants to get to LAN. So I'm excited to watch all the other regions go off, especially Asia as well. We haven't tapped into them today.
True.
But yeah, my name's Liger. I had a great time here. Thank you very much. I'll let the other lads talk.
Thank you, Liger. Thank you. What about you, Imperator?
Number one, I have to very much agree with what Hawk said earlier. I hate Invis woman. I hate Ultron. As a strange player myself in high ranks, it is impossible without a properly coordinated Magneto to hit a strange ult, because you're just going to get... Invis E is so overtuned. I'm just going to say it. Invis push is just so overtuned. Ultron... When you try flying up as strange, he just does Michael Jackson moves on you. I'm sorry. But for the rest, I really hope NetEase tunes down Loki Luna so we can stop having those heroes get banned and see other heroes banned, so we can have some more diverse comps. And I'm really excited for what Marvel Rivals Esports has to bring, especially since it's new. It's not being advertised as good, but they're working on it. They're listening to feedback at least. So I'm really excited to see what the future beholds for Marvel Rivals, and I hope Loki gets nerfed, Luna gets nerfed, and Invis push gets nerfed.
Yeah. Hogs, final thoughts from you?
Yeah, I think that this weekend's gonna be really fun to watch. I'm gonna watch party all of it. It's gonna be a great weekend. I can't wait to see who calls LAN. You know, hopefully I'm cheering for Sen at the end of the day, and they better make LAN or I'm gonna be upset at them. Yeah, I think this will be a great tournament, and I think NetEase is doing a great job with it. I don't know if you guys saw, but in game we finally there's a tab now that shows the time of the start.
Oh, you know, really?
Like, yeah.
Let's go.
They finally added that. I saw that when I was
we couldn't
queuing.
pause. We couldn't pause for a long
man.
No, they've been making a lot of great changes really quickly, and please, for the love of God, remove spectator delay for coaches.
Yeah.
That is very true. Yeah, if you guys are having to like, how much of a delay is it for the coaches?
So it's also random. It's between 5 and 10 seconds, and it's not the same in every map.
Please fix that.
I noticed as well. Like, it's really annoying for coaches to be in a Discord call, if you realize, Hawks, and then being on the coach seat in the game, because you have to know when they're making the call in what time of the game, and if it's delayed by 6-7 seconds, you can't help them unless it's recorded on one of their sites.
It is very, very cancer.
Sounds like a lot to deal with on that end. So hopefully they fix things and make it easier for you guys to have maybe even just a direct feed of whatever they're showing on the other end of things on that side. What is the coach view for those who might not know? Does it just show your own team? Are you able to see everything fly around? How does that work? I guess we were going to end the show, but I'm kind of curious about that.
Spectator is
Spectator allows you to fly around like an observer, and then the coach seat is just you can only spectate the POV of your players.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
All charges hidden, everything is hidden on the enemy team.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am worried about the spectator delay for when we get to LAN, because there'll be about a 6-7 second delay. And when somebody finally wins LAN, they're going to be out of their chairs 6 to 7 seconds before the broadcast showed they won.
Ooh, yeah, I didn't even think about
so
that.
So that
either.
will be a problem by the time we get to LAN.
Hopefully they have a LAN client is all I got to say for that time.
Yeah, they should. Yeah.
I think they'll have something. Maybe they had a tournament client, at least for this. Did they have a tournament client all the way back in season 0?
No, this is the first tournament with a tournament
New
client.
for Ignite? Okay, yeah. So I'm assuming they're working on a LAN client then.
Yeah, we had been given special accounts to play MRI on, but they were on live servers.
Gotcha. Yeah. That would be the best way to fix things for that end too. And I'm assuming they would have coaches like just standing behind the players like they do on typical like stage setups for that. I'm really curious on like what the format's going to be for midseason, all the different details about that. But if you want to know more about that once it's announced, follow me here at Vodible on YouTube and Twitch and all the other channels out there as well. Also follow the Rivals Esports Twitter. Those guys have been doing some great work to help promote the show and everything of that sort. If you want to join their Discord, I just linked it in the Twitch chat as well. It's the Marvel Rivals LFG and competitive Discord. I'll also have, there's a role in there for esports podcast. If you click that, you'll get some polls and other updates. We'll eventually host something in there in terms of watch parties and actually one of these shows to get some live viewer reactions and questions from that side of things. But thank you all for tuning in. Enjoy Ignite playoffs this weekend. I hope we hit a new viewership record. Shout out to NetEase for all the adjustments they've been making and improvements. It's only going to go up from here. This is the start of something great for Marvel Rivals Esports. I've been Vodible. We've had Liger, Imperator, and Hogs here on the broadcast. We've had Just Staying Alive on the production end of things in the background. Thank you all for tuning in and go enjoy the action this weekend.